Het-Heru, Assalamu alaikum, Namaste, Heru Nefer. This is Gasankma Keparu with another video for you. And today I want to talk to you about how the modern education system is horrible, just horrible. But first I want you to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel if this is your first time watching, and consider becoming a Patreon supporter or make a donation through PayPal. So let's get into this. I'm here in this beautiful park on this beautiful day. It's very hot. But I want to talk a little bit about the modern education system. Now, there are a lot of people out there in the New Age community, in the occult community, in the nationalist community who are talking about taking their kids out of the system and homeschooling them, which I think is a good idea. But you have to keep in mind that if you're going to homeschool them, you cannot repeat or duplicate what is already being done in the public institutions or the private institutions of education or higher learning. What you got to consider is that those institutions are set up primarily for linear education, linear learning. And homeschooling your kids or teaching yourself in a linear fashion is going to do you no good. The same thing is we understand that a lot of our history is whitewashed. So just putting a black or Latino or Asian face on it is not really educating yourself if it's still embedded in linear left brain education. Now, what is wrong with the modern education system? For one thing, you have to know that it's a programming institution, and basically that these institutions for higher learning are taking their cues from the think tank institutions and the private special interest groups which are funding them. And because they're getting funding from these private institutions or groups, special interest groups, they are only going to instill within you the conventional mode of thinking. Now, our history has been rewritten. We know it's been so-called whitewash, but the space-time continuum has been interrupted. And what does that mean? That means that those in control, the oligarchy, the ruling elite, have gone through the planet and done as much as they can to destroy ancient civilizations, to destroy advanced knowledge, meaning that there are scientists like your Nikola Teslas who've come out with advanced knowledge and who've been murdered, assassinated, and ostracized. So keep that in mind. And we know from history, from the Library of Alexander, which was burned down, so-called by Christians or Muslims, whichever story you believe, that it contained the wealth of the world's knowledge, and yet all of it is now gone. We're told by modern archaeologists that they don't know how the ancient Kemetic people or Egyptians built the pyramids. Well, we know how they built the pyramids. They did leave records, but you destroyed those records, which is why a lot of civilizations, including ancient Egypt, left a lot of knowledge in the Akashic records. Case in point, Tahuti or Thoth, who left behind the emerald tablets, but the emerald tablets are in the ether. They're in the Akashic records, and you have to understand certain words of power, vibrations, frequencies to unlock the etheric gates to gain access to that wisdom, that knowledge, and that power. But anyway, going back to what I was saying, the problem with the modern education system is that it relies primarily on left brain linear learning, and we have not begun to explore intuitive skills, intuitive knowledge, meaning to know without knowing, where you don't have to think about something. And this is a very advanced level of right brain non-thinking, because left brain is thinking, right brain is the absence of thought. That's how you access wisdom and knowledge, the Tahuti level. And you gain access to the Akashic records through stilling, this is what I'm saying, stilling the thought process, ridding yourself of all thoughts so that the wisdom and knowledge can be pulled down, downloaded into you, so you will know without knowing. Okay, when someone says 2 + 2 = 4, or when you know that, you don't have to think about that. You understand what I'm saying? So you also have to understand the modern education system doesn't teach you how to train your brain. Your brain thinks in patterns, okay? And these patterns, when developed properly, will take you to higher levels. So they don't teach you how to properly think, how to properly intuit wisdom and knowledge, because their focus on is to keep you from accessing the higher wisdom and higher dimensions, primarily through your third eye, the pineal gland, which has access to the right brain, nonlinear space-time, where you can actually time travel. Consciousness can travel to any point in time and space, and you can re-experience certain things. For example, if you want to learn this, what happened in the Civil War, modern education system tells you to pick up a book on history. But in ancient times, what we would do, we was go into a trance state and then time travel to that point, re-experience what it was like to be whatever, a soldier or ancient caveman or whatever. Do you understand what I'm saying? But they don't want you to realize that this knowledge is possible. In fact, this is why they come up with science fiction, because they want you to think that time travel, that your consciousness traveling through time and space is science fiction, that the only way you can do this is through a real time machine, because everything has to be physical according to the left brain. The other thing that's wrong with the education system is that it doesn't see how halves are one component of the whole makes up the entire structure, meaning that the individual pieces make up the whole. So by not understanding holistic thinking, it seeks to individualize things and compartmentalize things and makes them separate from one another. And this is a really, really bad way of thinking, because what it does is it skews everything that we see and do. If you don't understand that one piece is part of a larger whole, you will then don't understand the interconnectedness and interdependence between all things and how they create a type of ecosystem, how the machine needs all the parts to operate successfully. So now you have this global elite, the ruling oligarchy, who are seeking to depopulate the planet of people of color because they don't see that they have a use. They don't see how they're interconnected with everything, and interconnected with white people, and white people interconnected with black people, and black people interconnected with Asian people. They don't see that interconnectedness. They can't look at the whole because they're polarizing left brain thinking. And if you look at modern medicine, it treats basically the symptoms and not the cause. And this is a major problem in every aspect of life that we have. And this is why when we tend to use the left brain to solve one problem, it only creates more problems, all right? So we have to think about that, and that's what's wrong with the education system. Number one, it's seeking to keep you trapped in left brain thinking, book learning. Basically, what you're doing is you're recalling, so you regurgitate information, and according to that system of academic scholars, you're learned, you're a scholar. When you're not. Because you don't understand how to intuit wisdom and knowledge to know without knowing. You don't understand how to access the pineal gland, the third eye, and access higher dimensions of learning and knowledge. We don't understand that, but all of this is mystical mumbo jumbo according to them, So anyway, I want you to think about that when you're looking at taking the kids out of the school system and homeschooling them, that it has to be a right brain or integrated learning process that takes into account intuitive skills as well, the ability to still the thought process, to access the Akashic records, to pull down and download information. Because remember, all information, all the world's knowledge is stored in the ether. It is never destroyed or forgotten. Keep that in mind. And what they've done is they set out in a campaign to destroy all ancient cultures. That's why you'll see the pyramids have been ransacked. You'll see the ancient temples in India and in Mexico. All of that stuff, the pyramids have been destroyed and ransacked because they're not going to preserve anything. They're not that they're trying to preserve anything or study anything. They're out there trying to destroy that knowledge and hoard it for themselves and keeping it for the masses of people. And it goes beyond just whitewashing history. It goes a lot into distorting history by telling you that ancient civilizations were primitive, that they believed in spooks and ghosts and spirits and stuff. Yet they believe in metaphysical things. Quantum mechanics is metaphysical, but they don't want you to think that is in the realm of quantifying that as like spirits or anything. So anyway, take that into consideration, that we're living in a very corrupt time, that these so-called institutions that are producing people with degrees and who come out there and they think they're scholars and they're prestigious and that they're regal is all bullshit. It's just bullshit. All they are is schooled in left brain recall. regurgitating information, but they're not taught how to think. And when you have a system like that, you can never produce in mass Einsteins or Nikola Tesla's or Imhotep's. You can't produce that mass because it's not meant to. And those people who come out who are your savants are very rare and few who come out of that type of system, because the system is not designed to produce people like that. All right? That's what you have to keep in mind. So anyway, I want you to hit that like button, and again, download the Osiris Report, which talks a lot about this. It's a free ebook, a free report, and also have the true cause of slavery, and that really gets into a lot of this about the disruption in our timeline, how they sought to hide information and covet it. And you have in control right now, let me be honest with you, dark magicians. They understand the occult. They're very schooled in ritual magic. They're very powerful in that sense of understanding the workings of the third eye and time travel. They understand all of this, but they don't want you to understand it or even conceive that it's possible to travel through time without a physical time machine, that consciousness can do this. So think about that and work toward creating a program of excellence for yourself that encompasses integrated brain thinking, which is left and right brain thinking. This is Kasank Keperu, son of Ma'at, and Amun Ra.